Good afternoon. On behalf of our team at RDIC, we would like to welcome Phil Solescu. He is here this afternoon to discuss the type of work they do, the training they receive, the characteristics they're looking for, the career opportunities, salary expectations, and working conditions in this area. Just a reminder before we begin that after you watch this presentation, please complete the survey found on our website, either by using the QR code or going to our website at www.rdiec.ca. By completing the survey, you're automatically entered to win a $50 gift card, which will be drawn at the end of every month. As well, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep up with our latest updates. Thanks again, Phil, for this informative presentation to help students in their quest to make a better choice about their future employment opportunities. Take it away, Phil.
Thank you very much, Doug. As Doug had mentioned, I'm Phil Solescu. I'm happy to be here to tell you guys about the excellent opportunities and as a machinist. As a machinist, I'm actually the program head of the Machinist and Innovative Manufacturing programs held at Saskatchewan Polytechnic here in Regina. We do the technical training for the machinist and innovative manufacturing. Okay, a little bit about the machinist trade. Machinist, it's a 4-year apprenticeship program. What we offer at the school is we offer a 34-week certificate that will actually, you'll learn a lot of stuff going into the trade, so you can, that really increases your chances of getting a job in this industry. This program grants you your first and second year of apprenticeship schooling. So the apprenticeship trade, if you go through the graduate high school, and if you're able to get in working at a machine shop, they can apprentice you. It's a little harder to get in because you have no idea of what machining is all about. But if you do get into working at a shop, they can apprentice you, and then you'll go for a level 1 training after so many hours in the trade. Then you'll go to level 2 after so many hours in the trade, level 3, and then finally level 4. And at the end of your level 4, you can write for your interprovincial Red Seal status. Okay. Now, a lot of times people leaving right out of high school, they've never seen a drill bit or a lot of the equipment that you would actually be working on as a machinist. And so getting into the trade is a little bit more difficult. So where we offer is we offer a pre-employment program, the certificate program, where you'll actually work and you'll be learning in school for 34 weeks. When you graduate, you'll have the apprenticeship will actually grant you your level 1 and your level 2 apprenticeship, and you just need to get your hours for your level 3 and level 4. So it's kind of a fast track to get your Red Seal status. Now, you guys are probably wondering, what the heck does a machinist do? So what a machinist will end up doing is you're basically setting up and operating a variety of machine tools. So you're going to be cutting, grinding, turning metal, plastic, other materials such as carbon fiber, or you're going to make or modify parts to really precise dimensions. Now, when I'm talking about precise dimensions, is if you were to pluck a hair out of your head, a lot of the times you're going to be turning shafts, or you'll be milling metal pieces that will be within less than a quarter of your human hair width. Very tight tolerances, and in some dimension, or sometimes even a lot tighter than that. You're going to be, you're also going to be maintaining your machine tools, and you're inspecting your machine parts. So you can be building basically anything from basic agricultural parts to molds or dies that would maybe make for like a cell phone case or anything like that. So there's really basically anything that you look at, probably a machinist has had their hand in making. The equipment that you're going to be using, most of your machining is going to be done indoors. There's not, so you're not going to be out machining in a snowbank. You're going to be in a closed shop that'll be heated. You'll be using lathes, mills, saws, drills, basically to actually cut away the material to end up with your finished projects. And just like everything else, we all have cell phones and computers. Computers have made their way into the machining trade as well. They have, in these pictures, you can see here, these are manually controlled machines where you actually you have to operate the controls. In the first is a lathe where it would be turning and you operate all those controls to make your part. The second is a milling machine, same thing. In the third photo, these are computer numerical controlled machines, which is kind of a really big word for, it's essentially a big dumb robot. You're going to tell the machine all the commands to actually go through and make the part. A lot of the rewards, other than just the financial rewards, it's not a bad paying job, but we'll talk about that later. You can make something that nobody else can make. A lot of this parts that if older equipment that you can't find parts for, you're actually making the parts. So you're creating something. A lot of times you'll see some ugly old rusty metal, and when you've finished up, you can have some beautiful looking parts. Now, these are some very basic photos, but a planetary gearbox, a machinist would have had to make all of the parts for that. This is a hammer. We actually make those at the school. And this is another part we had some students actually make at our program. We made, this is for a soil testing laboratory, actually in Sask Polytech. So they couldn't get the parts anymore. So we actually took the old rusted part, redesigned or designed it and made the part for that. So there's a real reward in the craftsmanship. If you like, I usually like telling people if they've ever built a model kit or something, the Lego blocks where everything is, you have to step by step by step. And if you enjoy that sort of work, this might be something that you guys could look into. The challenges and the stresses. It is interesting, challenging work. You're going to be spending most of your day standing. You're not going to be outside in the elements. You'll be in a shop probably 99% of the time. You have to have an attention to detail is huge. As a lot of the fine little elements, if you miss, that part may no longer be usable. One of the stressors, shift work can be a possibility in a shop, but it's not unlike in the medical profession where it's 24-hour. Usually you may have an afternoon shift where it won't be right around the clock, at least for the most part. There may be some plants that will be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but that's not overly common here in Saskatchewan. Another stressor, because you're operating machines that can remove steel or cut steel, you have to have safety in the forefront of everything that you do. It could be dangerous if you're not following safety guidelines. So you definitely have to be thinking about what you're doing. Be very mindful of that. All right, for salary and benefits, I've looked on the National Occupational Code. It used to state how much across Canada, but that's a federal government. I ended up just looking at, they actually used the top end, so it skewed it up quite high. I think on the National Occupational, the last one I found was about 90,000 a year as a machinist. But this is a national, that would be a Red Seal person making that. This is a national average salary across the country not from apprentice right to a red seal. So it brings it down a little bit more. You will not be making that right out of school. But a lot of times in town, there's a lot of machinists that will be making a lot more than that. You can go, this is done through Glassdoor. It's an online job employment firm. And again, do your own research, but that's probably average. With this, a lot of the times, it's not like you're working for one employer, like a government or a health district or educational district. You'll be working in a variety of different industries. Basically, anywhere where anything is being made out of metal, there'll be machinists there. So the benefits can depend on the employer. Most employers now, they're finding that a machinist takes a fair bit of knowledge, and what they're finding, whether it being union or non-union, having a skilled machinist is a big bonus to the company. So they will usually pay and have benefits accordingly. So a lot of times your health and dental will be covered, eyeglass, footwear will be covered in many employers. That could vary from employer to employer. The pension, most of the manufacturing plants will have a pension fund in place that is usually split between the employee and the employer puts in towards it, and it's a RSP type pension. The work hours, it really depends on the shop. Some shops will be just day shift. Some shops will have a day shift and evening shift. And then some bigger outfits can actually have 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That really depends on the shop. Now I've put a picture of an older machine shop. This is where it was. Please don't think that this is what you're going to be going into. There's a mixture of shops that are union and non-union, as I was saying. So again, it really depends on where you end up working. The machinist is a trade recognized by Saskatchewan Trades and Apprenticeship Council. It's also a federally recognized trade. If you look on the National Occupational Code from Statistics Canada, it is code 7211. And so you can do your own research on that about the trade. Opportunities in the field. We've already talked about the 4-year apprenticeship program. After you've completed your apprenticeship, a journeyperson certificate is acquired. You can write your provincial, and you can also write your interprovincial, which allows you the ability to go anywhere across Canada and work as a machinist. There's several different areas of specialties. There's maintenance machinists. So that would be where you're taking broken equipment, welding, it may be welded up, or you're making parts for broken machines and returning them to service. A lot of places like this would be any type of major industry, forestry, metal work, or such places as Evra, steel making. As the equipment breaks down, they just can't call up Walmart or your basic place to get that part. They're made one-off. So you actually will take the broken part. You might have a drawing. You might have to create a drawing and then make the part to match. A production machinist would be more into if it's a factory that's producing parts and producing an end product. So places like that in Saskatchewan would be any of your agricultural manufacturers. They would be a production machinist. So you're making several parts of it won't be just one part at a time. You might be making 500 to 1,000 parts. Another trade portion is a computer numerical controlled operator. There's a lot of shops that actually start out as a computer numerical controlled operator, a CNC operator, where the program is already created, and what you're doing is you're operating the machine, and you're just making sure that that machine is actually still producing parts within tolerance and to the proper finishes. Then you can move up to a CNC programmer, and that's where you take the drawing and you create the computer program to make that part. And then you have to mistake proof it. You have to have everything running so the machine itself makes the part for you. The next is a tool and die maker. Now in this, it's a specialized version of a machinist that would actually, if there's a special job and there's not a tool even devised to make the part, you design the tool to make the part, as well as the die would be as if it was pressing it out of steel. You would make the portion to actually make the die that would go into the die press, which would form the metal. Jig and prototype maker is where you would actually make fixtures to actually for more production work. And a prototype is if you're working in a company and they're making a brand new product, you're actually making the first prototype. So there's a lot of opportunities in the field in the machining. You basically can, wherever you can go, there is opportunities in military parts, agricultural parts, parts for resource building, whether that be oil, potash, forestry, consumer products. So you're actually machining parts that would actually, things such as like plastics, where you'd make the mold to make the plastic part. So really your opportunities are almost endless in this. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the work-life balance. Typically, you're working an 8-hour work day, 40-hour work week. Now, that may change depending on the shop. You might be working 4 10-hour work days and only work 4 days a week. Some evening and night shifts may be required, but that really depends on the shop. Many of the shops, overtime is possible. As a matter of fact, you can see a lot of overtime in certain shops. I'm going to show a video and we'll get this and then we'll do some questions. Just hold on one moment.
And decided that my name's Ben and I'm a machinist. Wasn't a direct path for me. I came out of high school, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, decided to try to become an engineer, took some science classes at college and realized that being in the books every day wasn't for me. So I took an auto mechanics course and I worked as a mechanic for 2 to 3 years and decided that I wanted a different challenge. I had fell in love with the hands-on work, but it was time to try something different. So I then went back to college for a tool and die machining / mechanical engineering technician course. And learning about machining, I just absolutely fell in love with it. So my biggest reason to get up and go to work in the morning is absolutely those days where you come in and you get one of those problems where you don't even know where to start solving it. But at the end of the day, working with colleagues and with the experience that I've gained over the years, I always find a way. We get a lot of older parts to repair in the maintenance industry where there's no documentation, there's no really starting point. But with the knowledge and skills that I've learned over the years, you get that sense that nothing's impossible. My main responsibilities at work, they'd be ensuring part quality, ensuring the timely production of the parts that we're making, choosing the right materials for the job, choosing the right operations to get to the proper end result for the parts, assuring proper finish of parts. Quick explanation of what a machinist is. We take big blocks of steel and turn them to the most precise parts you'd ever see. Take these sometimes parts that weigh thousands of pounds, and yet they're precise within 10,000ths of an inch. A hair is 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch. I think the biggest misconception about skilled trades is it's what you do if you're not good in school. It's what you do if you're not that smart. I know many people that are very intelligent and very skilled, and it's such an interesting field. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to gain experience and knowledge. The knowledge that some of my older coworkers have is phenomenal. I think my biggest advice to any young person entering a trade, and any trade really, but from my experience as a machinist, is be patient and be receptive to your peers. Be receptive to those guys that have 20, 30 years of experience. You sometimes need to earn their respect, but the wealth of knowledge that they can impart to you is priceless.
Okay, so I'm just going to switch over to any questions.
I have a question for you, Phil. What's the job market looking like for students coming out of Polytech with a program like machining? Are there jobs out there?
Right now, I've surprisingly enough, I have talked to quite a few shops, and I fielded quite a few this year after COVID, and they are looking for workers, young workers. I was also, just yesterday, I was in a trades advisory meeting for the machinist trade, and that has a lot of shop owners. And one of the shop owners that is on that trades advisory, one of his concerns is going to be a shortage of skilled trades, a shortage of machinists for in the near future. Currently in the apprenticeship program, we were at 84 apprentices in Saskatchewan as a machinist. So there's not a lot in the trade right now. So there is, and as a lot of the baby boomers are retiring, there's going to be a lot of jobs opening up in this trade. So yeah, this is definitely a growth industry.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that.
How many students do you allow per year to come into this course?
So currently, with COVID, we were accepting 14 in the year. But I do believe as in normal years and non-COVID years, we were accepting 26 per intake. And again, right now it's the situation's a little fluid with COVID. So right now, that's why our numbers are a little smaller at the moment, but that will be going back up to a full enrollment.
High school prerequisites, Phil, what would you be looking for in a student applying to your program? What should they?
So currently, you only need your grade 10, but I would recommend with machining, the number one language is essentially math. All of the sizes, they're all numerical. So you have to have, I would suggest your grade 12 with your general math that would encompass a little bit of geotrigonometry. If you can do that, you'll be fine.
And computer science classes, would you recommend that for high school students as well?
Not really. if you do have a computer science, it will be good. It's not going to hurt at all. But the programming is a little different than what you would see on a home computer. These are industrial computers, so the code that you will actually be learning is quite a bit different. It is somewhat similar to C++, but even at that, it's not quite the same. The commands are you will learn them in school. It's not that bad.
Okay, thank you very much, Phil. That was very informative. I can't see why students wouldn't get a good grasp of this area and hopefully think about it at least, right?
For sure. Thank you very much for having me.